Okay, so in this lesson, we're gonna talk about the ultimate showdown. I bet you might have been wondering about, kind of differences or similarities or what have you when it comes to YouTube ads versus Facebook ads. So first thing I wanna be clear on, I love Facebook ads. So don't get it twisted. I want all the traffic, by the way. Yes, we're talking about YouTube advertising, but that doesn't mean that I don't wanna run Facebook or any other traffic. Matter of fact, you should be diversified. So definitely love Facebook. But there are some common things that I think can help you get some quick wins that I want to walk you through. And there's also some key differences where there's a bit of a nuance between how you run Facebook ads, how you run YouTube ads. What I want to do first is I want to talk about the key differences between the two and walk through each one of those. So number one, with YouTube ads, in my opinion, I think they're simpler in the fact that you only have video. There's no images, there's no text area, there's no comments, there's no fan page management. You don't have to really do all of that. You have a video, you upload that video, and you run it as an ad. And that's the only way that you can do it. That is kind of like the difference between the two, right? It's with Facebook, there's, you can do video, you can do all the different ways that you can run. There's a lot of ways to do that, but with YouTube, it's pretty simple in terms of the ad itself, just the video. So keep that in mind. Another key difference, in my opinion, is and why I talk a lot about LTV and long-term value in other sections of this course, is because what we see a lot of is a lot of people are focused on return on ad spend when it comes to Facebook. And then with YouTube, obviously you can absolutely do that. But when you're really scaling, you really want to think more about LTV. And I kind of mentioned that, customers on YouTube tend to be worth more over time, which means I believe you can be able to pay more for those customers. That's kind of the game that we play. And I think everyone should kind of take that into consideration when you're running your YouTube ads. So that's a key little piece. Another one is the skip button versus the scroll. So on Facebook, you're trying to stop the scroll. On YouTube, you're trying to stop them from skipping your ad. So you got about that 5 seconds to skip the ad, but really your hook is more like 10 to 15 seconds, because if you keep them from skipping in the 5 seconds, after 5 seconds, they're still hovering over the skip button. So as you're going through your hook, it's not just those 5 seconds. I think you want to make it a bit stronger. You got 5 seconds, and then the next 10, you want to kind of be a bit stronger in that. We'll get into that more in the course, but that's the key thing. You're trying to stop the skip. And then with Facebook, you're trying to stop the scroll, or Instagram, Facebook and Instagram, people are scrolling. That's the actual behavior. So there's two key different behaviors there that when you're producing ads and you want to cut through the noise, if you will, you have to kind of understand that. Another one we briefly touched on was intent versus interest. So people don't go to Facebook. The reason why they're there is not necessarily like with YouTube. The key thing with YouTube is that people go there to consume information. Actually, there's a study that says 70% of all searches on YouTube start with how to. So people go there with how to insert, whatever they're going to do. No one's going to Facebook to do that. Not a knock on Facebook. I'm just saying like that behavior is not happening on Facebook. So that's a key difference there. There's a lot more intent of the person when they're going to YouTube versus Facebook. When people talk about fan page with Facebook, they score your page. There's a lot of things that you have to check off for your page to be eligible to run ads. On YouTube, that you just can create a channel right now and upload a video and run it as an ad. And you don't have to worry about channel health or any of those types of things. So that's something you really don't have to concern yourself with YouTube versus, doing that on Facebook. So those are some key differences that you want to keep in mind when you're getting ready to run your YouTube ads. Now what I want to do is transition into some common elements that gonna give you some quick wins. If you're already doing Facebook or you're very familiar with Facebook ads, now we're gonna get into some common elements that can give you some easy, quick wins. Okay, so getting into some of the common elements, good news is that you've already done a lot of the work. If you're already running Facebook ads, or you're really familiar with Facebook ads, a lot of work that you've done is actually way more valuable than maybe you even realize. So let me get into a couple of those. So number one, if you have an ad that's working on Facebook, that ad can work on YouTube. The only challenge is that you need to slightly modify it. You have to understand with Facebook ads, if you're running video, for example, or image, regardless of the ad unit, you have the text area above it, right? And that is what makes the creative. It's all of that. It's not just the image, which image is big. It's not just the video, which the video is a big piece of it, but it's also the stuff you put in the post area above the video. So if somebody see that ad or the video or the image in their feed or wherever, they click on it, they can read all of this other stuff. All of that makes the creative. So when you're taking that same message to YouTube, you're just going to reformulate that entire message into hook, message, call to action, which is we're going to get into in our creative segment. But just understand that your entire message on Facebook consists of not just the image or the video, but also what you're saying in the post area. And when you're translating that over to YouTube, you have to take that into consideration in order to just repurpose that same exact message. So that's really a really beautiful thing that a lot of people don't even understand, that they have a lot of creatives that are already connecting with a particular audience, that if they just slightly modify them and turn them into this YouTube style format, they can target the same audiences on Facebook and put that same ad in front of the same people when they're on YouTube. And the key here too is another common element that where you've done a lot of work is like in the media planning process, because the targeting, while it's different in how you do it, the way you can get in front of the same people on YouTube as on Facebook. So when you're planning your media and doing your market research, all of that work is not gonna go wasted. You just need to figure out, okay, now I'm gonna target this way on Facebook from this information that I have. Now I can take that same data and say, well, I can hit these same people over here, and I can plan how I'm gonna do that over here just based on the way that this platform is set up. So you're gonna get a lot of mileage, a ton of mileage out of that. So another common element that you may not even be aware of is what we call the hook. So with a YouTube ad, you got 5 seconds to stop the skip, and your hook is what does that. With Facebook, on the other hand, you're trying to stop a scroll, and you technically don't need a hook the way that I think of hooks to stop the scroll. You actually can use a lot of techniques that get people to stop and pay attention. But the thing that gets them to continue paying attention is probably more like what a hook would be for YouTube ads. That's what you want to dial in on. So if you're doing the flashing or the color schemes, or there's a lot of different techniques that people use to stop the scroll, but what's going to keep them from stopping and then keeping on scrolling after whatever attention you got, that's probably the sweet spot of your message that would translate over to YouTube in those first 5 seconds. So you probably just didn't know that because nobody's probably explained it to you, but that would be a real key similarity that you can really use to get an easy, quick win. Another key common element that I think a lot of people don't know is that with Facebook and YouTube, both of them are what I call algorithmic media buying, which just means that we want to lean on the algorithm to do a lot of the heavy lifting for us, which is, to be frank, why I think a lot of Facebook media buyers are really successful, because the algorithm is really smart. And so if you allow it to do what it do the work that it's designed to do, you're better off doing that than trying to control everything, right? YouTube is the same exact way. Google launched TrueView for Action, I want to say maybe 2017, with the YouTube platform, and it's like complete game changer. And it rivals Facebook as well. So a lot of what I'm going to teach you guys in this program is how to leverage the algorithm. You want the algorithm to do as much of the work that it's designed to do as possible with as little input from you as possible, which is very, very similar to how it's done on Facebook. Another key common element is social proof, or basically any sales psychology type principles where, human behavior is human behavior. It's been the way it's been for, I don't know, eons. And those things won't change. So what it takes to get a response out of someone, it doesn't really matter what platform they're on. If you are targeting someone based on, a particular industry or market, those common core psychological principles that are designed to move people to action, designed to build trust, right? Because a lot of people talk about know, like, and trust when it comes to ads. The same mechanism you use to create those, it doesn't matter really what platform you're on. So really both Facebook and YouTube, these things are gonna carry over. So just think about that, keep that in mind, and maybe make a note of the things that you're doing in that realm that you can translate, because they translate very well. So of those things that we just discussed, probably my favorite thing, and probably the one that I would, if you take nothing else away from this, the key thing I want you to understand is that the failure rate is probably gonna be pretty high if you take the exact Facebook video and stick it on YouTube, okay? If you wanna increase your success rate, you really wanna take the overall message from your Facebook that's working, and you want to port that into the YouTube ad format, which is going to be hook, message, call to action. So that's really the key thing, that if you really understand that piece, it's going to put you light years ahead of the competition.
Hey guys, hope you're loving our videos and that you're getting heaps of value from them. If you are, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to join the Foundr fam. If you did enjoy this video and want to continue to master your skills, make sure you click here to access your free training now, where we'll go into way more depth with this founder.